Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on our Learning and Growing webinar series, Mentoring Basics. Our presenter today is Kaylin Green of Sunny Empire State College. My name is Sidra, and I'll be your moderator for Hawks Learning. We will have a live Q&A session after the presentation, so please enter any questions you have into the Q&A module as we go, and we'll be sure to answer them at the end. I'll now hand it over to our presenter.
Thank you so much. This is an interesting topic. It's a different kind of topic that I've chosen for this wonderful Learning and Growing webinar series. I've done a few here with Hawks Learning, and I just very, very much enjoy sharing the information with everyone. This specific topic of mentoring basics is unique, and I wanted to kind of introduce why I'm choosing to talk about this topic before I go into my whole PowerPoint spiel here. Mentoring is a new role for my specific job. And at first your thought may be, well, if it's new to you, Kaylin, why are you going to teach us all about it? And I think of this specific webinar here today as not so much teaching about it, but sharing what I've learned in my 8-month process of becoming a mentor, the things that I've learned from my peer mentors, helping guide me into how to become the strongest mentor I can for my students. So this particular webinar is not me being expert, but me sharing what I've learned. Hopefully, if there are other mentors out there who may not have such a strong peer mentor as I do, maybe this is some information that can help them become stronger mentors for their specific students. I come from a clinical case management background before I got into academics. So my brain set of being a case manager kind of came in full frontal when I became a mentor, and I had to tone myself down a bit to remind myself that this is not a clinical setting of a case manager. This is an academic mentorship role. So really learning the parameters and the responsibilities that you have as a mentor in this academic role is an important part of understanding what role you play in your students' progression and development. So I'm going to share my screen here now. Okay, so mentoring basics. I am Dr. Kaylin Green. I'm the assistant professor of addiction studies at SUNY Empire State College. So first, what is a mentor? A mentor in its most basic form is someone who provides guidance and support. We have mentors in many different aspects of our lives. We have personal mentors, professional mentors, academic mentors, but the idea of a mentor is someone who is helping us and guiding us through new pieces of our life's journey to help us get to the other side in the easiest, quickest, and least painful way possible. So specifically, guidance in an academic setting for a mentor. This guidance can come through the student's academic journey. How are we helping them get to whatever their academic goal is, whether that's an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, a doctoral degree. Maybe it's just taking 3 classes so they can put them on their resume to get a job that they want, but guiding them to figure out how we as a college or school can help them reach whatever goal they have. And all of our mentors are going to have very unique, very different goals. So a piece of this puzzle is making sure that we remind ourselves every student is unique, every student's goals are unique. So our guidance is going to be very different depending on those goals. Advocacy, the idea of advocacy is we have to first build that relationship with the student. Advocacy is how do we support our students? How do we kind of sit in their corner and root for them? Many of our students do not have people at home rooting for them or supporting them. They may be on this academic journey by themselves. So if a student knows that their assigned advisor is not just someone checkboxing classes off for them, but someone who is here to help them figure out how to help motivate them, that's a big piece of this puzzle. So part of being a solid mentor is knowing a little bit about the student's background and their current life situation. We'll get into that in a different slide on how we actually do that. But reminding ourselves that we're not just here to make a checklist of classes for our students. We're here to help them figure out what they need to succeed and be successful in whatever their personal academic goal might be. And then a third piece of this is how do we introduce students to new ideas? That's part of being in college. That's part of what makes college so exciting. We want to ask questions about future career goals. We want to ask about their overall life plans and how those career goals fit into those life plans. We want to make sure that we are aware of their life situation, not just their academic goals. If that was the case, a computer could do this job, right? But that's not the case. Colleges assign human mentors to help the student through these processes. We also want to make sure that we're towing a very careful line of not potentially prying into a student's personal life, but we want to be asking things to help them so that they know that we are in their corner, on their side, helping them understand when situations arise with other professors or other instructors. The student can come to us and say, hey, I have a bit of a sticky situation here. I'm not sure what to do. What do you think I do? The mentor can then step in and be a bit of an advocate, guidance, and introduce the students to new ways of doing things. The students are going to be interacting with a variety of different professors and instructors who all have their own ideas on learning and teaching and what their students should be coming out of a class with. So our job might be to kind of mitigate those differences and introduce the student to new ideas or new ways of doing things. We also want to make sure that we're opening our students up to different ideas that or pathways that they may not have been aware of before. That's a big part of college is leaving behind what you thought you knew on a topic to be opened up to look at all this great new information, and reminding our students we don't want to be closed off to new information, especially if we teach in a program where we have a lot of adult learners, older learners coming back, people who have worked in the field for many years. Specifically at my college, we pride ourselves and we really focus on those individuals who maybe didn't get college at first. They entered the workforce, they have fabulous real life work experience, and now they're coming back to get their degree. We at SUNY Empire State College, we focus on how do we get those students to understand that while they've been doing the career field for sometimes 30 years and they've been doing it really well, it's not the only way of doing things. And that's part of college, understanding that there are multiple ways of doing the same thing, and learning different ways can help us grow as not just an academic or a student, but as a human being in general. So why do colleges need mentors? What is the goal of this? First is that creating a student-college connection. This helps the student create a stronger bond and connection to the college itself, especially in online colleges. I've taught at a variety of online, in-person, hybrid type of colleges, and there is definitely a benefit of having those in-person, face-to-face classes, because a student has a brick and mortar building that I go to this college, it is at this address. I know where to find student services. I know where to find my teacher every Tuesday and Thursday when I have class at 2 p.m. It's a very black and white, and it makes people very comfortable knowing that that's where their academic journey is rooted in. When we have an online college, we lose all of that. So having an extra strong student mentor connection helps a student feel connected to the college in general. When a student feels connected, they're more likely to continue courses. Picking classes for the first term is great, but if you don't feel connected to that college as a whole, you may not pick up classes next term or the term after that. You may just kind of drift away almost is what happens. So we want that real connection. The next piece of why colleges need mentors, and specifically strong mentors, is course guidance. If your program or the college that you teach for doesn't have a structured program or a checklist of classes, and even if they do have a checklist of classes, the students often have a variety of electives that they can choose to take to beef up or strengthen or create their degree plan that's a little more individualized to them personally. They don't know what to take, right? And we forget that sometimes as professionals in the field. We forget that they're brand new coming in. They haven't done this before. They don't know what to take. All they want to do is take the classes that gets them to their ultimate goal. So we have to remember that we are that guiding light. They will flounder and take something that isn't going to help them possibly, or they may not take anything at all. So with the guidance of us connecting with them, guiding them towards the possible classes that make the most sense for them. I always remind my students, part of my job as your mentor is to make sure that you don't waste any time or any money in your classes. Your classes and your time and your money are valuable to you. I don't want you wasting any of that. We want to make sure the classes we take are the proper classes to guide us to get to what your personal individual academic goal really is. This also connects the instructors to the student body. So we talked about why colleges need mentors. What about why mentors need, why the mentor themselves need this connection? A lot of times students, mentors are professors as well, or instructors, and they may teach the same classes over and over and over again every term. And this is okay when we have a strong class that is set, we can use it again, that's great. No need to reinvent the wheel. But this can also create some robotics for us as professors and instructors. We kind of do the same thing and we get bored of it. It doesn't spark our interest anymore. Connecting ourselves to the student body can create that or keep that passion alive in our teaching and our abilities. And when we have passionate and excited professors and instructors, the classes are more fun to take for the students. The students are thus more interested and more readily available to come back and wanting to take more classes with us. We want to energize the incoming and remind ourselves that while we teach the same content, it is brand new to the incoming class. And when we have those mentees who are on our caseload that we connect with, that's a way of reminding ourselves of those fresh faces that are part of our job as professors and instructors. The student-mentor relationship, the foundation of a strong student-mentor relationship. This is kind of a two-way path here that we need to remember. Part one is wanting the support on behalf of the student. If the student doesn't want the support, they're not going to be reaching out asking for it, and they're not going to be furthering themselves in that. Both parties must be active in wanting the relationship to be strong, as well as the mentor. The mentors need to be wanting to connect to their students. It is part of our job to be active in our students' lives. It's important for this relationship to be, for both parties to feel connected to each other. If a student does not feel connected to their mentor, they're not going to reach out for support. And they may reach out in different ways and bypass their mentor. What we don't want is our student services department to be bogged down with student questions that the mentor could be answering. That's using resources in a very inefficient way. At a college, we know we have so many responsibilities, so many departments. It's our job as mentors to make sure our students are using the proper resources in the proper way. The importance of this being strong. When we have weak relationships, again, the student doesn't feel connected, the mentor doesn't feel connected to the student body, and then we're wasting time and resources and trying to scramble to find these answers on behalf of both parties. How to strengthen that weak relationship. I know I've definitely been there. Right now, I've got 75 mentees on my caseload, and there's a good 60 of them who I know we have a great relationship. We're strong. They ask me questions. I know little bits about their personal life, so I feel connected to them. Then there are about 10 or 15 who, yeah, we've met. The connection isn't super strong for a variety of reasons. How do you strengthen that relationship? What do you do? The first thing that I suggest, or what's been suggested to me at least, is to try to create or schedule more frequent meetings. Maybe that student just needs to see a face or hear a voice on a phone more often than other mentees might need to. They may not physically or personally feel connected if they're not verbally talking or seeing a face. For many students, email is the way to go, and that works perfectly fine for them, but it's not for everybody. Just like not all students learn the same way, we all have very different ways of learning, not all mentees are going to connect to their mentor using the same process. The next kind of question that's been suggested to me is asking more personal questions. But again, reminding ourselves, we don't want to necessarily pry into personal, super personal situations or information, but maybe asking more of that personal connection questions to try to build that connection a little bit stronger with that mentee or student. The next way is don't hesitate to brainstorm with your fellow mentors. At the college I teach at, we have such a wonderful, it's called New Mentor Orientation. And it's a meeting we have for an hour once a week. It is kind of shielded from all of our department chairs or associate chairs or deans. It's just the new mentees. And we have this meeting so that we can share kind of together our struggles, what we're dealing with, ideas, ways around things like this. And I think having this kind of cone of silence kind of bubble for new mentees is a great way to express what you are frustrated in without feeling that we're not doing the best that we can, or that our deans may think, oh, we're not great mentors because we have these questions. But you'd be surprised how your fellow mentors may be learning something that you haven't even touched yet, and you can share that information. And that can really strengthen your abilities as a mentor personally. So who benefits from this relationship? We went over why we have it, how to create stronger relationships. Who benefits from this relationship? Those academic mentors, us. Again, we feel more connected, more involved in the student body. This energizes us as professors. We get excited about things, and students can teach us a lot about the current field, especially if they're working in the current field. A lot of times, instructors and professors, we may work a little bit part-time in our field of study, but we have a lot of responsibilities as instructors to focus on at our job. We don't always get a chance to be working actively in our field. Our students often are working in the field. They are up to date with current situations or struggles in the field. We can learn from them. We can get reminded of what's going on in the field specifically that can spark us to go move forward with our research or our ideas or our curriculum development type of situations. So the academic mentor-mentee relationship really does hold a benefit to the academic mentors themselves. We don't always think of it in that way, but it really, really can. Second, the student. The student is getting interaction and support through this new and often scary, overwhelming journey. Not all students, again, have a support system at home. They may come from a background where they're the first ones who've ever entered college, so they don't have anyone who's pushing them and supporting them and, oh, I've been through that, let me show you how to do it this way. We should think of all of our students as being brand new, and we are that support system for them. If we then find that they already have a support system, great, let's work on our part, right? But we should always be prepared to be that support system. When students, especially students who are working full-time, they have bills to pay, they have responsibilities, they have family members or children to care for. They're adding in college, which is a huge project, a huge undertaking to take on. They definitely don't know all the nuances of how to get from point A to point B. Them feeling that they have a point person. And I always tell my students, I don't have all the answers. There are a lot of pieces of the puzzle that the school doesn't even let me put my fingers into, financial aid specifically, right? I don't have all the answers, but it's your job to come to me to ask me all the questions. And then when I don't have an answer, I'm going to connect you to the proper resource. This way, the student is not overwhelmed with all the different players in the game, all the different resources that are available. They connect to their mentor. They can ask one person all the questions, and then the one person, the mentor, can connect them to all the proper facilities, all the proper resources, all the proper people, all the proper departments. It really limits the student's stress on who to ask, what to ask, where to ask, when to ask it. The mentor can really play a huge role in lowering that stress for our students. And when we're asking them to take on the responsibility of adding college level classes into their already very busy life, that can be quite a bit of stress for a student. And then the college itself. The overall college is benefiting to the student mentor-mentee relationship because it helps the student stay at the same college and complete the degrees. We can't forget about that our college is a business. And if we don't have paying customers, we're not going to stay afloat. That's the reality of it. So when we have a strong academic student mentor-mentee relationship, the student is more likely to stay at the college, take more classes at the college, complete their degree at the one college versus bouncing around from different colleges. Again, I'm not an expert in this, but from my new mentor role at the college I currently work at, we do a lot of work with having students bring all your transcripts to us, bring your 4 or 5 other places where you went to and it didn't work out. Our job is to put all those together and get you graduated. So we really focus on how do we keep our students and get them to their ultimate goal, whatever that might be. Mentoring group for mentors. This is one of the biggest things I really wanted to share from this meeting, this little webinar, part of a series with all you guys. Does your college have a group for mentors to meet and chat? The things I have learned from my new mentor orientation have been absolutely invaluable. The things that my college didn't have any trainings on, I learned from my other new mentor colleagues. And that was a way for to lower my stress in my new role in my job, and also provide me the information so I can best support my students specifically. If your school doesn't have a new mentor or just a mentor group in general, create one. Reach out to your colleagues, set a day on your schedule, and put it down as mentor meeting, mentor brainstorming, mentoring chat, mentoring struggles, whatever you want to call it. Have an open forum for anyone who's actively working as a mentor at your college or your agency. Give them an hour and a half or so to express not only their struggles, to get other people's perspectives on how to solve those struggles, but let people share what's worked for them or little things that they've learned along the way that other people may not have quite learned yet. This is the way of keeping our mentors strong, engaged, understanding what's going on, and current in what's happening in the student body at the time. This does not have to be a formal meeting. We don't have to have a whole scheduled agenda or outline for it. This can be really an open discussion. Act as the moderator. We start ours with, hey guys, welcome to new mentee orientation. As always, what's said in this group is kind of kept within these walls so that we can feel free to express ourselves, our struggles, our frustrations, and then get information on how to become better mentors. And then we go, who wants to raise their hand? Who has the first topic of conversation or tip that worked for them or struggled that they're looking for some help or guidance on? I will tell you that hour, it's never dead. It's always full of information because you would be surprised how much you know that someone else doesn't know, or what you're missing, someone else has the answer to, but you don't know who to ask. Similar to our students, we don't know who to ask. Create that point person or a point group to bring those questions to. Again, perhaps once a month, once a week is what we do it. Sharing this information supports fellow mentors who may be struggling in a very similar situation. But if we don't reach out and ask or offer the help, we won't know how to support each other doing it. So just as we want our students to be asking for support so that they can become stronger student versions of themselves, we want us as mentors to be asking for help so that we can become stronger mentors by ourselves as well. That is my presentation. I look forward to questions, anything that we want to kind of open the chat up to talk about ourselves here. This is kind of be your first idea of a open mentor group, and we can kind of share some information here. So what do we think? What questions do we have?
Go ahead and use the Q&A module to drop in any questions that you have.
Does anyone else's college have a mentee group that they're able to ask questions in? I'm curious to know how many other schools have a group like this.
While we wait for any questions to populate, do you have any other suggestions or closing remarks that you would like to make?
Sure. So another suggestion might be, especially if you're struggling to feel personally connected to your students, I like to remind myself, because I come from a clinical background, my idea of case management is very intense. It's very, if you miss a meeting, I need to call you, find out why you missed it, make note of that, make sure everyone is mentally and physically okay. When I joined this role as an academic mentor, someone told me, you're not a clinician anymore. This is not the same type of role. Remember that students can come and go. You may get assigned 50 students to your mentee roster. Only 40 of them may ever connect with you. The other 10, it doesn't necessarily mean you're a bad mentor that they haven't connected with you. It may mean that they're not taking classes right now. It may mean that they got accepted to a different school and is joining that different school now. Our job is to kind of just work on building that relationship the best that we can, offer the emails, offer the support, and when they come in, we can help them at that point in time.
We have two comments. One, I work as a mentor for Take Stock in Children. My mentee is a high school senior. We've created a great relationship. For tomorrow, she's going to present and teach me something, and I can't wait.
That sounds fabulous. How fun. That's a great example of how to create a very strong bond with someone. Asking the student, hey, even though, quote unquote, I'm the expert in the college field here, why don't you teach me something? Show me what you know. That is a great way of building your mentee's confidence up and getting them prepared for whatever that next level is for them. That's a fabulous. Thank you for sharing that. I hope everyone takes that home and uses that. That's wonderful.
Absolutely. We have one other comment. I think our campus began a mentorship program, but haven't heard any updates since COVID.
Oh, interesting. If this college is in-person college, we're still seeing some of those meetings, right, being created and held back because of COVID regulations or protocols. But why not create a virtual meeting then? If people aren't comfortable meeting in person for this, reach out to someone and say, hey, I heard about this happening. I haven't seen it though. How do we start this? Start it yourself. Even if it's just between the colleagues that you're close with or that throw something on the calendar, call it a first monthly mentor meeting, and the description, an hour for us to chat and brainstorm together and help each other out as specifically mentors, not as instructors or professors, just in that mentorship role. You will be surprised how, and open it to anybody. Allow your colleagues to invite some of their colleagues. The group will grow because you're really able to get great information from this type of setting.
Absolutely. That sounds great. Alrighty, I think that's all we have time for today. Thank you, Kaylin, and thank you all for attending today. If you or any of your fellow instructors are interested in presenting for our Learning and Growing webinar series, please submit your proposals to the Learning and Growing website, which I'm going to go ahead and link in the chat right now for easy reference. And then we will be emailing you a link of this recording once the webinar is available, and I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Thank you.